The idea of this is to go over all of the starting weapons that you can start out with a class, or all the weapons you can pick up just on the ground or in caves or wherever, so long as you don't have to fight any major bosses, or you can buy them from merchants. That's going to be the idea, and we're going to be ranking them as to how good we think they are, probably mostly leaning towards the early game. So first up, we have Astrologer's Staff. I'm very unfamiliar with spells, so how good is this, Rob?
It's okay. Usually just switch it out for the Meteorite Staff as soon as you can.
Okay, that one is also on our list of things that you can just pick up early.
Yeah, the Meteorite Staff's the best early staff.
Alright, so how good would this one be?
I'd say it's probably about B tier. Yeah, it's not bad, but you just switch it out as soon as you can. You just need like 2 intelligence levels on Astrologer.
Oh, okay.
The other one.
Alright, and this, yeah, that's where you're going to get this, because I don't know if any of the merchants sell it early.
The one in Lucaria does.
Oh, okay. Well, we're not including that area, so if you want this, you will have to start out as Astrologer. Up next, we got the Beast Repelling Torch, and I do know things about torches. They're not very good.
Yeah, like early on you can kill like small enemies with them, but that's about it.
Yeah, they're basically only good against enemies that are weak to fire.
Yeah.
So, D tier?
Yeah.
At least as a weapon. Because this does have some utility. Bastard Sword's a great sword. You can buy it from a merchant in the Weeping Peninsula. I don't think it has high stats, and it probably scales really well like basically every great sword.
I'd say that one's probably A tier, because you can also get the FLAMBERGE early.
That is true. We do have that one. We also have the Claymore, and we have the Lordsworn sword as well for great swords. There might be a couple others.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would say this one's not as strong as some of them, but it's by no means weak because it is a great sword, and it does look pretty cool.
Yeah, all the great swords are pretty good, so...
Yeah, so...
whichever one you want.
Alright, yeah, that's true. A tier then. Alright, this is the Battle Axe. This is what the hero starts out with, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't remember if you could buy this from a merchant early.
You can buy it from the Twin Maiden Husk.
The Battle Axe seemed okay for a starting weapon early on. I don't think it had high requirements. Being an axe is a little bit of a bummer because it's not a great axe. So reach becomes an issue against certain enemies, but I feel like early on it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I'm thinking like B tier. What do you think?
Yeah, it's probably fine.
Yeah, alright. Probably A or B tier early. Probably falls off later because you have access to better axes and you can go with great axes. Claymore! Claymore is pretty awesome because it has like Lion's Claw on it and it doesn't have very high requirements at all.
Yeah, that one does have Lion's Claw, which is a really strong Ash of War.
Yeah, that is true. It also has the unique stabbing set for a greatsword.
Yeah.
Which is pretty awesome. I'm leaning heavily towards S tier for this one, at least early on. I think it does fall off later compared to other weapons that you can get, but very early on, I think it's one of the best choices.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Alright.
Claymore system's really strong.
So. Yeah. Alright, this is Broadsword, and this one... Who starts out with the Broadsword?
Does Vagabond start out with it? Or is it
No, it had to be Confessor, I think.
Nice, so I think Confessor starts with it.
Alright. Because I don't think you can buy it from one of the merchants, but I don't think it's way early on. I think it's a little bit later. Yeah, this one's a straight sword. I think it has very low requirements. I think basically anybody can use it. It is going to be a straight sword, so it's already pretty good just for being a straight sword.
Yeah, straight swords are pretty strong early on. They have the square off, which actually does a lot of damage.
That is true, yeah.
Oh, a lot of stance damage as well.
Alright, I would say it's just like S tier early on just for that then, because you can buy it. It's a straight sword, so it's going to be good. And, like, you don't have to invest in it whatsoever if you want to trade it out for something else later on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's pretty solid for early thing. Next up is this weapon that I can't say the name of.
Yeah, the Beastman's Dagger.
Yeah, the Quinquida or something like that. I don't think that's correct because I think it's Italian. This thing. Alright, it actually doesn't have high requirements. I just looked it up because I had to look up the name. It only has 10 and 10.
Yeah, so.
It is the heaviest knife. Daggers generally aren't the best to begin with. This one does boost Beastman spells though.
Yeah, but you can't really get any of those without killing bosses.
That is true. So it's basically just a knife you're going to use early on.
It's also somber, so you can't even change the ash.
Oh, alright. D tier then as a starting weapon. Easy enough. Alright, the club. You get this right at the start if you want to pick the Wretch. And you can also buy it at the start. Just 10 strength, that's all you need.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Scales off of strength too.
Yeah. So it's a striking weapon, which is nice, although not entirely necessary for the beginning of the game. You can kind of use whatever. So,
yeah, it does attack really fast.
Yeah, that is true. It has a little bit of shorter reach, but that's just kind of with the hammers in general. Same with like the axes. I'm thinking like A tier for this one.
Yeah,
it's
probably one of my favorite hammers.
Yeah, it's like it's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, the blocks are just really fast, and they're actually pretty good stance breaking things.
Yeah, that is true. Alright, yeah. High A tier for the club. It's good. I like it a lot. Alright, then we've got the Cross Naginata, Rob, which this one is this one a halberd?
Yeah, it's a spear.
Oh, okay, it is a spear. It has bleed on it, though.
Yeah.
Which is really good. It has a pretty good attack pattern. I don't think it has very high stat requirements. It might require a decent amount of dex.
I think you can use it right away if you get Radagon's Sword Seal with like the Warrior or the Samurai.
Yeah, that's probably true because they have enough dex for that, huh?
Yeah.
So you could use it right away then. You wouldn't even need to invest if you're willing to do that. It has bleed on it. It's a spear. Those are all really good things. I'm thinking like S tier for this one because you can definitely just use this for the whole game.
Yeah, you just need to get a second spear to go along with it.
Yeah, you could also just throw cold on this and two-hand it too if you wanted. I mean, you could do that with a second spear as well if you wanted.
Yeah.
So, alright, yeah. S tier for the Cross Naginata. Finger Seal.
I think that seal is actually one of the better scaling seals, and you can use it throughout the entire game.
Okay. It's also, I think, our only seal at the start.
Well, if it's the only thing you can cast with, then it's kind of an S tier pick.
Yeah.
When you're using incantations.
that is fair. Because I don't think there's any others that are really close to the start that you can get right away without killing something or going to like a later area.
Yeah, I don't think so. It's like,
alright, well, it automatically gets S tier then because of it being the only thing that lets you cast incantations. The halberd, where you start out with Vagabond. This one is really good. I like it a lot. It has the poke set.
It's probably the best halberd you can get to start. So it's probably an S tier.
I think it's actually maybe our only halberd here that you can just pick up. I think everything else you have to kill something for. Alright, so S tier halberd, yeah, it's quite good early on. This is the Great Épée. This is a heavy thrusting sword. I don't know how much dex it has on it. I think it has a decent amount. Actually, not very high. Okay, never mind. It's only 15-16, so you can use it with some of the starting classes, especially if you have Radagon's Sword Seal.
I'd say it's probably an A tier one.
Okay.
I think the halberd's a bit better just for something to stab things with.
Yeah, that's fair. Because, yeah, if you're just comparing everything against one another, the halberd probably does have a longer reach.
Yeah.
So, yeah, alright. Alright, that's fair. A tier then. It's still a really good weapon. Great sword. You pick this up in Caelid. It has really high weight and really high strength requirements.
Yes, but you can use it with the hero right from the start if you grab Radagon's Sword Seal.
That is true, yeah. And it does massive stance damage to anything that you hit with it.
Yes.
It's also very scary out in the open, like if you're able to swing it against multiple enemies.
Yeah, it's really strong. It's just really high stat requirements.
Yeah, I'm thinking like A tier for this because I don't think I could put it in S tier with how heavy it is.
Yeah, I think Hero is the only class that can really utilize it too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, everybody else you would have to build towards it rather than building up things like Vigor, or you need to build Endurance for this too, just to wield it with armor. Alright, low end of A tier, bordering on B tier for the Greatsword. I love it, but issues. And we've got the Flail, which you're more familiar with flails than I am.
They're similar to hammers, but generally worse.
Alright, well, we're already saying the club is an A or an S. So, This one probably can't be that high. Does the regular flail have bleed on it?
Yes.
Okay, that is a plus for it then.
It does have the spinning chain one, so you don't even need like wild strikes on it.
Okay. So decent starting Ash. I don't think the regular flail has that higher requirements either.
I think it requires like 18 dexterity.
Oh, that's a little bit higher than what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not really a great point for it then.
Yeah. Yeah, the Morning Star is generally just a better choice.
Yeah.
For the same purpose.
Yeah, and we have that one coming up too. So I'm thinking B because it's probably at least as good as the Battle Axe to start out with.
Yeah, it's probably around there.
Like
it still does have bleed, so.
Yeah, like the Battle Axe is probably simpler, and you don't need to build for it. But you do have bleed on the flail, which kind of puts it in the same tier. Lordsworn Greatsword. This one you just pick up basically at the very start of the game.
Yeah, it's like identical to like the Bastard Sword.
Basically, alright, let's just put that one up into A tier, because it's everything that applied to the Bastard Sword, same thing with the Lordsworn Sword. If you want to use it throughout the entire playthrough, you absolutely can. FLAMBERGE. This one's probably S tier for me.
Yeah, that one's S tier easily.
Yeah. It's got...
You just throw cold on it and you can kill everything in the game.
Yeah, that's true. It's got bleed. It's got... That's basically all it needs. It's got bleed, it's got low stats, it's a great sword. You can just use it throughout the entire game. Most classes can just go right to it or build to it very easily. GREATAXE is pretty awesome, especially for a strength build.
Yeah, it just has a high strength requirement, it's the only downside.
Yeah. That being said, I think it is at least on par or better than the greatsword, though, at least for a starting weapon.
Yeah, probably.
Because, like, it doesn't weigh nearly as much.
That is true. It's like half the weight.
Yeah, so it's at least A tier. Do you think it's S tier, though?
I'd say it's probably just A. There's only like one class that can use it early on.
Yeah, alright. Alright, toss you up into A tier. Then we've got the ZWEIHANDER. You can buy this from a merchant down in the Weeping Peninsula, I believe. It's the lightest colossal sword. It swings fairly quick. It still has really high stagger. I don't think this one has very high requirements either. I think this one's probably S tier.
Yes, I would agree with that.
It's probably the best colossal sword to start out with.
Yeah.
Because it just doesn't weigh as much as the others.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah, it's just real solid. You can kind of wear it with armor and still use it. Get all the advantages of a colossal sword. Whip! I wasn't a huge fan of the whip. I don't think it has high requirements, though.
I know I didn't like it when I tried to use it. Probably D tier. I'd probably use that knife over the whip.
Alright, fair enough. I'd use the knife over the whip and the torch.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, again, you're only getting one whip. You can't get, like, another... I think this is the only whip you can get early on, too. Morningstar is probably even better than the regular club, which is quite good, because it has bleed on it.
Yeah, probably.
So, S tier.
Yeah. The only thing I don't like about it is like its running attack is the thrust instead of a striking attack.
Yeah.
But other than that,
it's pretty solid for an early game weapon. Scimitar. Scimitar is a curved sword. I don't think it has high requirements. Curved swords are really good, especially if you find a second curved sword.
You start with two of them with the warrior, so...
Yeah, that's also a bonus. S tier as well, because you do get two, and even if you didn't get two, you can still get like the Shamshir pretty early on.
Yeah, I think you can just buy one from the Twin Maiden Husks too. So.
Yeah, so even if you just wanted to buy one and then find like the Shamshir, you'd be good to go. Short sword. This one I'm not as thrilled about for a straight sword.
Yeah.
It's not nearly as good as like the broadsword or the longsword that you get early on. It's okay and it will do the job, but I'd rather have like any of the other melee starting weapons, I think.
Yeah, probably.
That being said, it's still a straight sword, so I think C tier. Yeah, it's fine. Short spear. Short spear I liked.
Yeah, short spear's pretty good.
That's a Prophet starting weapon. Doesn't have high requirements. It has good reach. You could pair it with another spear. You could two-hand it. Still have pretty good reach. I don't think it's as good a poke weapon as the halberd for a starting poking weapon.
Yeah, probably not.
But still pretty decent. It doesn't do as much stagger as the halberd either. So I'd probably say like it's A or B tier.
Yeah, probably. It does have impaling thrust, which does do pretty good poise damage.
Yeah, alright. A tier then. It's good. St. Trina's sword, this one has sleep on it. I don't know. Where would you put the sword, Rob? Because I'm not sure.
Probably around like B tier as
B
a starting weapon.
Alright.
I think it's like better than the short sword, but
yeah. Yeah, alright. That sounds fine. I didn't use sleep a whole lot in my playthroughs, so I'm not sure how useful it is on everything.
It's a straight sword, and straight swords are usually fine.
Yeah, alright, short bow. Short bow has barrage as its starting attack, yeah.
Nice, that's pretty good if you're going for statuses. I just don't know how easily you can get status arrows at the start of the game.
Yeah, usually you're just kind of using regular arrows, and maybe like some fire arrows or something. I guess you can make potentially poison bone arrows, I think.
Yeah, I think
Poison's okay.
Serpent arrows from the one merchant, but I think they're kind of expensive early on.
You think C tier?
Yeah, probably. I think you can also just get like the serpent bow early on.
You can, yeah. That's another one.
I think that's just better.
Yeah.
So
probably. UCHIGATANA. This one's really good.
Yeah, that one's probably an easy S tier.
Probably. It has bleed, it attacks quick, it doesn't have higher requirements, you can use it throughout the entire game, you can throw whatever ash you want on it. It has doubles. Doesn't it have double slash?
It has unsheath, which just does really high poise damage.
Yeah, so, alright, yeah, UCHIGATANA is easy as. ESTOC. This is Prisoner's starting weapon. A nice stabbing weapon. I don't think it has high requirements. It has a longer reach than the rapier. Probably like A tier, I think.
Yeah, probably.
It's solid.
Yeah, it has impaling thrust, which is really nice early on too.
KAESTUS. You buy these from the merchant in Caelid. Fist weapon, striking, that also has bleed on it. And it basically doesn't weigh anything. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I haven't used the fists a whole lot, so...
Yeah, I liked them when I used them. The only problem is, like, reach, where it's like they're not way great against big enemies, and I imagine they kind of suck on horseback. I never tried them. Probably A tier.
Yeah, sounds good. Just an early bleed weapon.
Yeah, just because I don't think it's as good as some of the other bleed weapons. We have, like, the Morning Star, the UCHIGATANA, and, like, the FLAMBERGE, the Cross Naginata. I think they're all better bleed weapons than this weapon. Twin Blade's kind of weird to me, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I don't really like using them just because I don't like their attack patterns.
Thinking like B tier for it with these other weapons.
Yeah, probably. You put like Bloody Slash on it early if you kill the one knight, which could be good.
Yeah, bleed on the Twin Blades is pretty good. But this one doesn't have it normally. Shamshir is also pretty good because it's a curved sword. It doesn't have too high a stat requirement. It's lightweight. You could pair it with the scimitar or potentially another curved sword you might get early on.
Yeah, it also has a unique attack pattern. Probably S tier with the scimitar. I think it's probably better than the scimitar, but you can only get one of it is the main problem.
Yeah, that's true. You can only get one, whereas you could just buy one scimitar, or you could have 3 scimitars if you really wanted for some reason. This one's going to be kind of weird because the wing scythe is actually pretty good, but it has really high stat requirements for the start.
You don't really want to build into it early because then you just don't have any vigor at all.
Yeah, that's true because it has fairly high strength, fairly high dex, and very high faith requirements for the start, where no class can really build to it easy. It does have bleed, it is a scythe, which, I mean, both those are really good things, but I don't think this is one of the stronger weapons early on.
Yeah, it requires 16 strength, 16 dex, and 24 faith.
Yeah, and nobody can go into that right away.
Yeah, so...
You can't cheat it out. So I'm thinking C tier because of that. It's something that you might want to build into later in the game, but not right away. You probably want to go with something else that is more handleable to start out with, and then build up your vigor, build up like maybe your endurance, your strength, your dex, whatever you're going for, and then build up your faith to it.
Yeah, it's a really strong weapon once you actually get going. But
yeah, it feels more like a mid-game to late-game weapon.
Yeah, it is.
Alright, Steel Wire Torch, another torch. This one doesn't even have the bonus effect that the Beast Repelling Torch does.
Yes, but it is stronger than the base torch.
But it is an upgrade over the garbage regular torch.
Yes.
So it's D tier, but slightly better than the other torch.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not gonna want to use it as a weapon. Same thing with any of the torches. Lance, I know you have mixed feelings on the Lance, Rob.
Yeah, it is strong early on and it's easy to use, but I like the other Great Spears more. You just can't get any of the other Great Spears.
That is true. And Great Spears do have really long reach. They're great against certain enemies that just can't get next to you.
Yeah, they do stagger knights in one hit as well, so...
So I'm thinking like A tier for this.
Probably. It's either A or S early on.
Yeah. Alright, fair, yeah. Great club. I also really like the great club.
I think that's the large club.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's true, because the great club is a colossal weapon. You get it later on. This is the large club. Which,
and that one's better than the great club.
This thing honestly doesn't weigh that much. It hits really hard. I think it only has a strength requirement like the regular club does. I think large club might be S tier for me too.
Yeah, it's really good.
Alright, the meteorite staff. This one, like you said, is probably the best starting staff in the game.
Yep. Even to like the mid-game.
Yeah.
Like, the thing's good until you get like 50 intelligence.
Yeah, so, okay. That one's kind of has to go up into S tier just because of that, where it quite literally outcompetes every other staff in the game to a certain point.
Yep, for the majority of the game, it's just going to be the best staff that you can use.
Yeah. Which it kind of sucks for mages if you want to just go with staffs, where it's, okay, you're going to go with this one and you're going to go into that one and you're going to keep it for like 90% of the game. Let's see, this is the Great Knife? Is that what this one's called?
Yeah, it's the bandit starting weapon.
Okay. Yeah, and this one does have bleed on it, correct?
Yes, it does.
Okay. It has lower requirements of only 6 and 12. It weighs nothing because it's a knife. I would say it's better than the Beastman knife because at least you get bleed out of it.
Yeah, it is.
It's still kind of it's still a dagger, which is kind of an issue.
Yeah.
So you could put cold on it or something, have a bleed cold dagger, which it would be really nice early on. Or even just if you wanted to put like poison bleed, it could be good.
Yeah, and you can couple it with like Reduvia. If you want to kill the invader for that.
Reduvia, I think, is a lot better than this knife, though.
Yeah, it is.
So I think this one's like C tier as well. I think it's fine.
Yeah, it probably is.
Or Blade, the katana one. That looks pretty cool. But it's not as good as the Uchigatana.
Yeah. It is a strength katana, though.
Yeah. That is kind of nice. Can you change the ash on it, or is it stuck with the ash?
Yeah, it's stuck with Gravitas.
Okay, and that one's not the best. I mean, you can't pick it up, so if you wanted another katana to dual wield, assuming you didn't start out as samurai and then just have 2 Uchigatanas.
Yeah, it does have an intelligence requirement, though.
That is true, too. I'm thinking B tier for this one.
Yeah, probably. It's similar to, like, St. Trina's Torch.
Yeah.
It can be a good weapon, but nobody starts with the requirements to use it.
Yeah. Yeah. Alright, KATAR. KATAR is another fist weapon. I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. It stabs pretty quick. I don't think it has higher requirements. I don't think it's as good as the Spike Kestis, though.
Yeah, probably not.
Because it doesn't have bleed.
Oh, it doesn't even have bleed?
No, it does not.
That makes it significantly worse.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it doesn't have bleed on it. I don't remember what its ash is. It has Impaling Thrust, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, B or C tier, Rob?
Either one. I really haven't used it that much. So.
Alright, I'm thinking B tier, because I think it is a little bit better than these options to start out with, because at least everybody can use it, since it's only 8 and 10. So it's the same requirements as a Spike Kestis, it's just, it's not nearly as good as Spike Kestis. Does have a better ash, though, because the Kestis only have Endure, but you can switch that, so. Hand axe, Rob.
It's pretty nice. It actually attacks faster than like any of the other axes.
Yeah. It also doesn't have like any requirements.
Yeah, it has really low stat requirements.
Would you say it's better than the Battle Axe or about on par with the Battle Axe?
It's probably better than the Battle Axe early on.
Okay. Probably it might be the best starting axe then, because I think it's just between these two.
Yeah, probably.
Alright, so A tier or B tier?
Probably still B tier.
Probably still B, but higher up than the Battle Axe?
Yeah.
Okay. Serpent Bow. I think that's probably the best bow we can start out with at the start.
Yes, it has innate poison on it, so...
Yeah, which is good, because that way at least you could potentially tick down bosses, especially if you can safe spot them.
It's mostly just the arrows that are going to be so expensive for it early on.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a problem with bows just in general. Like later on they're fine because you have so many souls it doesn't matter. You can just trade them for arrows, but early on your souls actually do matter, so you can run through a lot of your money really quick.
Yeah.
Alright, Staff of Loss. I don't even know what this one does, if it has any unique anything on it.
It buffs the night sorceries.
Okay.
Which is like Ambush Shard and Night Comet.
Are either of those good or attainable at the start?
Both of them are obtainable at the start.
Okay.
I think Night Comet requires like 30-something intelligence to use.
No, okay.
And you don't main hand the staff. You keep
okay.
it in like your offhand and you cast with the meteorite staff to just get the buff from it.
Okay, so it's an off staff at best.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be your main weapon. Should we put it in C tier then?
Yeah, probably. I don't think it's better than just like the astrologer's staff is.
For like actually using as a main hand staff yet. Hand Ballista is really funny and it is pretty strong early on, it's just that it doesn't scale later. But it also has really high strength requirements.
Yeah, Ballista bolts aren't the easiest to get early on either.
That is true. Yeah, this is probably more of a meme than anything.
It's probably still D tier, it's not that great.
Alright.
It's just way too slow on the reload as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true, because you're going to be trading with a lot of things if you just try to only use this. Alright, Crystal Spear. You can pick this up in Caelid. I imagine it has, what, magic on it? And then some sort of intelligence as well needed, since I think all the crystal weapons do.
Yeah, it requires 10 strength, 16 dex, and 16 intelligence.
Okay, so you could kind of cheat it out with certain classes.
You actually don't need the intelligence requirement to do the majority of the damage, though.
Oh, okay.
Because its magic damage is so pitifully low. Just use the strength and dexterity requirements, and then you'll only get the minus to the magic one.
Oh, okay.
But I don't think you can use the Ash of War if you don't have the intelligence.
That does kind of make it seem worse than like the short spear or the lance.
Yeah, probably.
Alright, C tier then? Maybe? Just because the requirements are weird?
Yeah, probably.
And the scaling's kind of weird, and it would probably be better for you just to start out with either the short spear, or go with the lance, or start out as Vagabond and go with the halberd.
Yeah, all those are just probably better options than that's going to be.
Yeah, alright, that's fair. Wakizashi next. The katana knife that you can power stance with katanas.
Yeah, I think it does have bleed on it, so...
It does, yes. I mean, power stancing it with the Uchigatana is kind of nice early on. Although you could also just go get another Uchigatana, and it's not that heavy, and it would be better.
Yeah, probably.
I think the Orb Blade would also be better if you were just going for the same strat.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's another C tier.
Yeah, but it's probably better than the Great Knife.
Yeah, that's true. Better than the Great Knife. Not as good as just getting one of the other katanas and using that.
Yeah.
Alright, Longbow. You start this with Samurai. Probably one of the better starting bows.
Yeah, probably.
But that's still not saying a whole lot, because again, we went over why arrows are kind of a pain to get early on, because you don't have any money at the start.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, kind of useful as a tool for taking out stuff. You think B tier, like the Serpent bow?
Yeah, probably.
It doesn't have the poison on it like the Serpent bow, but it has less requirements.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of nice. This is the Glintstone Staff, which is what Prisoner starts out as, or starts out with.
It has lower requirements, but I think you can only get it if you start as Prisoner.
Okay, so you are locked into just getting Prisoner then.
Yeah, you can get it later on in the game as drops, but...
Okay. So, if you're okay with being locked into Prisoner, it's okay.
You pretty much just use the Meteorite one anyway, so...
That is true. So, I don't know, C tier because it's on Prisoner?
Yeah, probably.
Alright, and Prisoner's just not as good at spells as, like, Astrologer is, because they're just not specialized for it.
It does build into a Dex Intelligence better, though. So if you want to use the Moon Veil, Prisoner is, like, the best class to do it on.
Yeah, and you could do that. You could actually probably go get the Moon Veil really early on, since you start out with the ESTOC. And Longsword, Vagabond's other weapon besides the halberd.
Yeah.
Also really good, and I would consider it just as good as like the broadsword.
Yeah, probably.
Because it doesn't have that high requirements. It actually has pretty decent reach for a straight sword. It's just good overall at like everything.
Yeah.
So
what straight swords are.
No, you stay down there, Hand Ballista. You're not going up this year. Alright, longsword is going up there. And then our last weapon is Venomous Fang that you can just pick up in a cave. Fist weapon, this one does have poison on it. It actually has, I think, higher poison than other weapons. And I also don't think it has higher requirements.
Yeah, I think it's like the same as the KATAR.
Okay. Well, I would say it's automatically better than the KATAR then. I don't think it'd be better than the CAESTUS overall, though, because the CAESTUS do have bleed.
Yeah, probably. I think it does actually have deadly poison, though. So it's better than the poison you get from infusing a weapon with poison.
Yeah, the poison is better. It's just that poison's not a great status effect.
Yeah, I think you can change the Ash of War on it, too, though.
Oh, can you? That does make it better, then. Because you could put bleed or ice on there, too, as well as poison. Oh, wait, it's not a fist weapon. It's a claw. Oh, yeah, and it just has quick step. So, yeah, you can... It also only... I didn't realize its requirements were 9 and 9. I think every class can use it then, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So, yeah, you don't need to specialize for this at all. This is actually pretty decent then. Probably like A tier.
Yeah, probably. It's a good, really poison weapon.
Yeah, kind of like a surprising weapon, because it's probably the worst claw weapon, just because the other claws are pretty awesome. But, like, you can't get any of the other claws early.
Yeah.
The next one that you get would be with Raptor Talons, I think, at Stormveil.
You get the hooked claws there.
Oh, okay. I knew it was one or the other. So, yeah, you don't get that until, like, Stormveil, so if you wanted to run and get this right away, it would be your best claw weapon up to there.
Yeah.
And, again, if you didn't want to specialize at all, you don't have to with this weapon.
Yeah, really low stat requirements.
Yeah, so kind of a surprise choice there. Anything that you'd like to switch around on this tier list, Rob?
It looks pretty good this time.
Yeah, I mean, generally, for starting weapons, I don't know. I'm still feeling kind of weird about the Greatsword being an A. Like, it's so strong, but it is so heavy and so high requirements.
Yeah, it's just not usable in a lot of builds early on.
Yeah.
You have to go, like, hero with Radagon Sword Seal or some other strength build.
Yeah.
Because it does also have that dexterity requirement on it.
So maybe move this one down to like the top end of B.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's okay, just because like this is a really great weapon, but not to start out with for most classes.
Yeah.
I think the Great Axe would be better if you're going with a strength one, and then you build into the Great Sword.
Yeah, but Great Axe doesn't have like... It's only like 8 dexterity on it.
Yeah.
So you only need strength to use it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I mean. I think the Great Axe is better to start out with.
Yeah, probably.
If you want a starting strength weapon. Although you could also go with like the Zweihander if you want another colossal weapon. I think the Zweihander is quite a bit better than the Great Sword, at least to start out with.
Yeah, just because the lower requirements and lower weight.
Yeah, exactly. Like later on, I think there'd be arguments for both being really good.